For years, I thought the only way to find my style was to keep adding more inspiration, more outfit ideas, more trends, more clothes, but somehow getting dressed didn't become simpler. I wasn't overwhelmed because I didn't have enough. I was overwhelmed because I was making style more complicated than it needed to be. Everything changed when I stopped trying to add more and simplified. These are the 6 changes that made getting dressed easier and made my style finally feel like me. And the last one made the biggest difference for my style. Hello friends, welcome, let's dive right in. The first thing I realized was I wasn't missing my style, I was looking for it in the wrong places. Which brings me to my first point. I stopped looking for my style. Instead, I started paying attention to myself. I stopped asking, what is my style? And started asking, what do I naturally reach for? My favorite colors, necklines, my favorite silhouette, my favorite fabrics. Those weren't random, those were clues. Instead of searching for my style, I realized it had been showing up all along, I just didn't recognize it. So how do we find these clues? I would challenge you tonight, pull out of your closet 5 things that you most reach for. Don't overthink it. Just what are those favorites that you always grab? Look for what repeats in some of those items. Those patterns are often where your style begins. So what do you do once you start to figure out some of those patterns? I'll get to that in a few minutes. Once I knew what naturally started to work for me, I stopped trying to become someone else, which brings me to my next point. I stopped chasing someone else's style. This one was huge for me. For years, I wasn't building my own wardrobe. I was collecting pieces and ideas from everyone else's. Someone else's capsule wardrobe, someone else's Pinterest board, someone else's must-have essentials, and the biggest one, the latest trends. There was nothing wrong with those wardrobes, but they just weren't mine. So instead of asking, what do stylish women wear? I started asking, what feels most like me? So how do we remedy this? I would look through your wardrobe and honestly ask yourself if some of those pieces were things that you purchased simply on someone else's recommendation, whether that was an influencer or a trend or someone's list of must-haves, but they're items you never reach for yourself. If you have those pieces in the mix of your wardrobe, those pieces are distracting from your style because they're someone else's. If they're things you don't reach for, they shouldn't be kept in your wardrobe mix. They are diluting your style. In what ways have you gotten caught up in chasing someone else's style? Leave it in the comments below. I love hearing your experience. But something else surprised me the more I started to understand my style, and that is the less variety I actually wanted. Now hear me out. I'm not saying to have a wardrobe of all basics, all neutral colors, but instead I started repeating what worked for me. This sounds almost too simple, but it changed everything. If I found a neckline I loved, I'd buy another version of it. If I found jeans that fit me perfectly, I'd buy them in white or maybe a washed black. I found a color that made me feel confident, I'd look for more of it. I stopped treating every purchase like I had to reinvent my wardrobe. Instead, I repeated success. You may have heard of the 80-20 rule. Basically, it says that most of us wear 20% of our clothes 80% of the time. But instead of feeling guilty about this, it should make us curious to think, what is my 20%? That's your emerging style. Why do I keep reaching for those same items over and over again? Well, it's because they work. If you're curious about what to do with the rest of the clothes in your wardrobe that you don't keep reaching for, check out this video right here where I give some great strategies on how to remove some of the items from your wardrobe that aren't helping your style. Once you start to figure out what that 20% is, write down those most commonly worn pieces and repeat them because they're the ones you're going to feel confident in and ultimately are going to reflect you. And then I started noticing another pattern. It wasn't just what I was buying or adding or keeping, it was who I was buying or adding for. So my next point is that I stopped shopping for my fantasy self. More often than not, I wasn't buying or keeping clothes for the life I was actually living right now. But my real life looked really different than a lot of those pieces represented that were hanging in my wardrobe. Once my wardrobe matched my everyday life, getting dressed and learning my style became so much simpler. This isn't about not buying anything, but I just stopped buying things that created more confusion instead of confidence. So a really great way to figure out whether the items in your closet right now are sort of for a version of yourself that doesn't exist, or that maybe a wannabe version of yourself, think through this week every outfit you wore. I love those videos where they show what I wore in a week. Kind of do a version of that mentally. And think about what those pieces are. Does most of your wardrobe match the outfits that you wore this last week? Or are there many of them that represent something different than your daily life? Those are pieces worth storing away and getting out of the daily mix of your everyday wardrobe. They're confusing your style and frustrating the process of getting dressed. Before I go on to the next point, if you like styling content like this, I post videos like this often, consider subscribing below. And then I ran into a part that I wasn't expecting. It wasn't really a style problem anymore, it was more of an emotional problem. And so the next point is I needed to let go of my old identity. Some clothes mixed in our style aren't hard to let go of because they're beautiful. They're hard to let go of because they remind us of who we used to be. Another body, another season of life, another version of ourselves. When I finally packed those items away, I made room for the woman that I am today. Holding onto versions of our past selves can sometimes shame us, frustrate us, and confuse our style for the season we're in right now. There was a whole season of my life when I had a professional job and I had a lot of dressy trousers and button-down shirts, and now I'm home with my kids. So a lot of those things I needed to just remove from my active wardrobe and put them aside because they weren't reflecting my current self. So look through your closet and be honest with yourself. If there's things in there that truly represent an old version of you, those items aren't worth holding onto, so they're simply dragging down your everyday style. So after letting go of all of that, there is a question that remains. Who was I actually dressing for now? And this shift made the biggest difference in my overall style. I honestly stopped following the rules. I stopped asking, should I wear this? And started asking, do I love wearing this? I stopped asking, is this flattering? And started asking, do I feel like myself in this? I stopped asking, is this a wardrobe essential? And started asking, is this an essential for me? Someone else might say a plain white tee is a wardrobe essential, and you may never reach for it and never feel like yourself in it. So that is not your essential, it's someone else's. Because confidence doesn't come from following someone else's checklist. It comes from wearing clothes that feel like home. So how do we stop following the rules in finding and simplifying our style? Tomorrow morning, instead of asking yourself, what should I wear today? Ask yourself, what am I excited to wear today? The answer to that question will tell you far more about your style than any trend ever will. I think one of the greatest compliments someone can ever give you isn't, you look so stylish, but when they say, that outfit is so you. Because they're not really complimenting your clothes, they're recognizing something that's unmistakably yours. I don't think that happens because you suddenly found your style. I think it happens because you stopped trying to become someone else's. Stop adding more, start simplifying until the only thing that's left is you. Deep in your closet, hidden under all the layers of clothes, your style is emerging. If this was helpful to you, please give it a like. If there's ways that have helped you to make your style easier and simpler, leave it in the comments. I love hearing from you guys, and I feel like it's so helpful to everyone else. As always, thank you for watching, and I can't wait to see you in the next video. Bye for now.